Welcome everyone to my Chiori kit overview. In this video, I will go over and explain Chiori's kit and what she does. Then I will look into possible builds and teams, and lastly go over Constellations, as Chiori is still in beta, and many things are highly likely to change in her kit. Because of that, take everything with a grain of salt, and all calculations in this video are not to be taken at face value, it's just there to prove a point. I will be releasing a build guide for Chiori soon, so if you want to know how to build Chiori, I would recommend waiting for that. Chiori is a 5-star Geo sub DPS. She scales on both attack and defense, and has a crit rate ascension bonus. Her normal attacks deal 4 hits and a charged attack. Chiori's elemental skill is where her damage mostly comes from. Using her skill, you can quickly teleport, similar to Alhaitham and Ketching. Also similar to them, you can also hold the skill. Whenever this teleport or dash ends, she will summon an automaton doll. This doll will hit nearby opponents with AoE Geo damage. The targeting area of this attack and attack type is similar to Yamiko's elemental skill. If there are Geo constructs nearby, an additional automaton doll will be summoned. At Constellation 0, only one additional doll can exist. Chiori's first ascension passive adds additional effects to her skill. There are 2 effects that can be triggered after using your skill, depending on whether you tap the skill again or normal attack. If you tap the skill again, the tapestry effect will occur, which immediately switches Chiori to the next character in your team, and applies Seize the Moment to all party members. Whenever your active party member is dealing damage using their normal, charged, or plunging attack, an extra instance of damage from Chiori's dolls will be triggered. This extra damage can be triggered during a set number of seconds and a set amount of times. If you normal attack instead of using your skill again, Chiori will gain Geo Infusion for around 5 seconds. This Geo Infusion does not have damage increasing effects like Navia's Geo Infusion. Going back to her main kit, her burst deals AoE Geo damage. Her skill and burst both scale on attack and defense. Chiori's second ascension passive grants her a 20% Geo damage bonus if any other party member creates a Geo construct. So with an explanation of her kit out of the way, let's talk about Chiori's possible playstyles and teams. Chiori can be mostly used as an off-field Geo sub DPS through her skill, similar to Albedo. While the comparison between both characters seems to be in Chiori's favor, there are still some things that are not quite clear to make a decision on who's better, such as her attack AoE compared to Albedo. You can also play her on-field since she has Geo Infusion, but the infusion itself does not increase her normal attack damage, so it may not be the best way to play her. Her C6 makes playing her on-field possible, and I will be talking more about that later in the Constellations section. Chiori benefits from having Geo teammates. Characters that can create Geo constructs will likely synergize well with Chiori. Mono Geo teams with it might be some of her better teams. Other Geo characters that don't create Geo constructs can still be played with Chiori. Navia does not create any Geo construct. A lot of people were looking forward to having Chiori in their Navia team instead of Zhongli or Albedo. While I don't have an answer as to how she performs compared to Zhongli. With no Geo constructs in the team, she might still be as good as Zhongli. Please take this with a huge grain of salt, as I did not properly calculate this myself. So with that out of the way, let's talk about some possible builds. Chiori has a split scaling of attack and defense. Defense seems to be the better of the two, as defense rolls are naturally higher than attack and she has a higher base defense. In regards to her skill damage, defense amounts to 58% of her scaling. Attack still scales decently on her, so she can still benefit from attack buffs, since she deals most of her damage off-field using her elemental skill. Chiori can use the Golden Troop set very well. Another set that comes to mind is Husk of Opulent Dreams, a set that increases both Geo damage and defense. Husk of Opulent Dreams, Geo damage, and defense increase stacks when you're off-field or normal attacking, so the damage it provides will be calculated on an average. When it comes to skill damage alone, Golden Troop is better than Husk. But that's not including her burst. If you can burst every 1 or 2 rotations, Husk becomes slightly better, but generally, The difference is minimal and can be made up with better substats. Keep in mind that these calculations are just to showcase the difference and should not be taken at face value. More representative calculations will be made for the build guide whenever it comes out. As for weapons, her signature weapon is of course going to be great on her. Other weapons like Cinnabar Spindle can potentially be one of the best 4-star options. Harbinger of Dawn is going to be good on Chiori, for the same reason it's good on Albedo. Since both characters will spend a lot of time off-field, they can easily maintain Harbinger of Dawn's passive. Although if you're using Farina in your team, you may not be able to stay consistently above 90% HP. Other energy recharge weapons can also work on Chiori. It is safe to assume that you will need an energy recharge investment on Chiori, so the energy recharge from the weapons is not wasted. Both Festering Desire and Fluve Sender Ferryman buff your elemental skill, so both weapons might be decent options. For a full ranking of these weapons, please wait till the build guide. And lastly, let's go over her constellations. But keep in mind that the order of some constellations might be swapped during the beta. The first constellation allows Chiori to work even better in teams without a geo construct. Firstly, the enemy targeting area of her dolls is increased. Secondly, if there are any other Geo party members, Chiori will automatically summon an additional automaton doll after using her skill and triggering the second ascension passive, which gives Geo damage bonus. This constellation allows the second automaton doll to take place without having a Geo construct. C2 summons one more additional automaton doll. After her first ascension passive activates and a party member deals normal attack damage, the additional doll will deal increased damage and leave the field after it hits an enemy. Multiple dolls can be summoned this way if you're still normal attacking while under her C2 duration. Constellation 3 and 5 increase skill and burst level respectively. C4 summons additional automaton dolls after using Chiori's burst. And lastly, C6 allows Chiori to be played as an on-field DPS. After triggering the Geo Infusion effect from her passive, the cooldown of her skill will be reduced massively, and the Prismatic Beauty effect is placed on Chiori for a couple of seconds. While the effect is on, Chiori's normal attacks will deal increased damage based on attack and defense. Defense scales much more than attack, so you will still want to build her with defense. This effect lasts for a set number of hits or when the duration of Prismatic Beauty ends. This constellation seems very interesting as it makes using her as an on-field damage dealer much more viable. As an on-field DPS, you can also build more teams around her. You can even use Yunjin in this team to buff her normal attacks. I will be making a separate guide for her 6th constellation later on. But that's all from this short kit overview. Again, anything mentioned in this video is highly subject to change. Thank you for making it till the end, and thank you for watching.